Hello and welcome to the Popcast, your weekly indulgence into the world of pop. Each episode we dissect a new topic and highlight our pop culture moments of the week, celebrating the genius of this genre in all its forms. The stigma around pop needs to change and we're here to tell you why. So whether you stamp pop music, want to expand your knowledge, or you just want some light relief from the impending doom and existential dread that comes from modern living, we've got you covered. The term guilty pleasure is cancelled. Boop, boop. Over the next coming weeks, we are going to be exploring our first love of pop. This week, we're going to look into Jessie Ware's fourth student album, What's Your Pleasure, and discuss the first artists we fell in love with. So, I've got two basics with me, Thom, Lowri in Monsoon Season, and Ryan, who is in Leighton. So, very Leighton. Different places. How are we doing, boys?
Very different places.
International Smile, Katy Perry.
Mr. Worldwide. Worldwide? Worldwide. Fuck me. Can't speak.
How are we both doing? Are we okay?
Yeah, grand.
Yeah, it's nice to speak to you both. Lowri, you sound a little bit like you smoked 50 fags this morning. Are you doing all right?
I actually don't smoke anymore.
You've been hitting the pipe.
I'm actually really good because I haven't. But I've had a lot of celebrations. It was my sister's 30th birthday this weekend. And I'm just very hoarse. Very, very hoarse.
Yeah, well, I've just been stuck. I mean, I'm like in this like cool new city and it's like everyone's kind of back to normal here. But the monsoon season was meant to end like 3 weeks ago. And I just sent these two on our WhatsApp group like a picture of the weather forecast for the next 2 weeks, and it is just non-stop thunder and lightning. So I might as well just be back in my flat in Manchester or be in London, to be honest, because I can't really do anything.
Brought the weather with you, Dolly.
Yeah, everywhere you go. Iconic tune.
I went back home to Newark, Púic-on-Trent. Púic, as Lowri so kindly
Can I just say that Ryan's been dragging me since I got on this call at 9:01.
I have. I don't know why. Lowri's just become my target for this morning.
I'm not your plastic doll. I'm not your plastic doll, Ryan.
No, you're not. You're my England footballer in that tee.
Ryan's jealous because I ran the marathon and I proudly wear my running t-shirt when I'm really good.
But it also looks like a Swindon Town top off of Kerry Mucklow. Yeah,
it is very Kerry Muck. It's because you got your hair back as well.
God, anything else?
I feel like I'm stuck in the middle today.
I can't believe it. It's just because
you're a mediator, Thom.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
not the first time,
it's
Thom.
Repressed feelings.
No. Tension and a taily, as we'd say in Welsh. Tension in the family. Before this fighting continues anymore, should we jump into pop culture moments? I mean, I feel like we all wanted to chat about the same thing, didn't we, Lau? So it made sense to kind of have one this week.
Yeah, and I think, for me, this is like, I think this is going to sound a bit far stretched, but I think it is my pop culture moment of the year. Just going to throw that out
there. I would probably go with that as well.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I knew Lowri would go in with that, but it's interesting hearing.
Well, I just thought I'd agree with her because we've been fighting, we've been arguing. I thought I'd give her something.
Go on.
But for anyone, we've touched on it in the intro, but it is, of course, Jessie Ware's latest album, What's Your Pleasure, that we're talking about, and we're going to talk about, go hard. It's all I've been listening to actually for the past couple since it was released.
Which I'd agree.
I think apart from Dua Lipa's album, I think that's the one that I've not had that kind of experience with. And that
can we just take a minute just to applaud just women in pop music right now who have just hit us so hard in 2020, giving us the most, whether it's been visuals, whether it's been album concepts, whether it's been the singles, the remixes, But
yeah, Jessie, this album, I think I've just loved every single release from it so far. I think she's also been really creative with what she's got, like in quarantine. And I think I love her anyway. I've loved her since the beginning. But I feel like this album, for me, feels very confident. I feel like this is where she's really stepped into her own. She's making a record that she really, really wants to make. And it's just grown on me, and I literally can't stop listening to it. Like, I have to listen to it all the time.
Can I confess something?
Yeah.
I have never fully, I don't think, listened to her older albums like all the way through, like as like pieces of work.
Oh, really?
No, I've only listened to kind of the odd track and like obviously ones that, like, you know, with singles and things like that. But I think, yeah, even like I think one that drew me to it was the album before, when she released Midnight.
Midnight was
and I was like,
powerhouse
wow,
to come back with as an opening track. Like, I loved that song.
And then the kind of actually dripped singles through, and then obviously Overtime, which I honestly, like, Overtime is such a fucking tune. And then I was just kind of, she was up more on my radar, and then once this came out, I was just like hooked. So
yeah, cool. For me, this is what I fell in love with when I first fell in love with Jessie Ware. Like, this was the sound I almost expected from the start. You know, I think when you go back to when she first started, like, you know, you first started hearing her on features with, you know, Subtract.
Someone's playing the flute in the background.
And
Thom.
Disclosure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping that this comes out, but like, there's basically background music. I'm basically staying in a hostel, so the only place that I can really record is in this cafe, which is normally a bit quieter, but they've got like background music on, so I apologise in
orchestra
advance.
There. Yeah, so Devotion, definitely one of my favourite songs ever. Running is one of my favourite songs ever. The Disclosure remix of that is like insane. But I think having that as like your first single, one of your first singles, it just sets you apart from, I think, so many people. And I think for me, it was kind of a sound that I hadn't really heard before. It was kind of like that electro house pop mix. Like, I'm obsessed with like synths. I'm obsessed with all that kind of dreamy notion of music. And for me, I feel like it was just like so different to what was out there at the time. And she was just this like kind of cool figure. You didn't really know that much about her. She just kind of came out of nowhere, really. And obviously,
I think Devotion had such a mix. Like, I think you had such a diversity, and you know, all the producers she was working with. You know, it's like everyone from like Julio Bashmore to like then some sort of more like well known like
Subtract.
And I feel like there was a bit of that diversity then was a bit lost with some of the other albums.
Yeah, I think she kind of was this artist. She kind of got thrust into it, and she says this all the time. She's like, I didn't expect to be a pop star. Like, I never thought that I would. She kind of did those few tracks with Subtracts, like Right Way, and then Nervous.
Well, yeah, she used to be a backing singer for Jack.
Yeah, like
she used
Disclosure.
to be a backing singer for Jack Piñata.
Yeah, because they're really good friends. And she just kind of, you know, in a lot of interviews, she said, I just didn't really think that I was going to be a pop star. I just kind of got thrust in it a lot at the start as well. She wasn't really comfortable with her sound and her voice. She would use a lot of reverb on her voice because she was just like, I wasn't confident enough. And I think
but it's amazing that she's got that kind of voice and that kind of, you know, she's obviously built that rep. And it's interesting, like you say, like you look at, you know, there's a lot of, you know, such interesting artists that have wanted her to like feature vocally, but she's, you know, that's the thing, like as much as she's doing a podcast talking about, you know, fucking cooking chicken soup with her mum, and then she's like working with like, you know, she's got like ASAP Rocky, and we got
Should we dive into what's your pleasure then and have
let's have a chat.
What our faves are. So I was thinking, what are our top 3 songs from the album? If you could take any 3 with you to a desert island, what would they be?
I think I have to start with Save a Kiss. I think we need to talk about how that is. Like that is like, it's a song of 2020. Like
it is really
like it sets the mood for 2020. It completely, and she's even said this unintentionally. She was like, this song really means a lot right now because we are literally, you know, saying like speaking to loved ones that when we don't know when we're going to see them again, we don't know when we're going to, you know, and even like couples that are in relationships.
And she was talking about that,
and I mean, she said this whole album is about like, it's like a sexy kind of, it's one she wants people to have sex to, and it's so funny because she doesn't come across like that at all. And she's like, and on Instagram she shared a screenshot of her mates being like rinsing her, like, why are you trying to claim to be so sexy? Like, you're not like this at all. But Save a Kiss for me is like, I think,
she was
perfect.
on her podcast. I think she was the one she was doing like Jake Bug. I was listening to it this morning.
Oh yeah.
And she just filmed the video. She just filmed the "What's Your Pleasure" video, and apparently she took a where she was filming. She took a picture of her in the latex and sent it to her husband, being like, "Do you want me to bring this home?" And he was just like, "No, I'm alright, thanks. It's not my thing."
I love that about her.
She's like looking sexy.
Yeah, Save a Kiss, right? What are your other two?
So it's hard because I really love all the singles, but like, so I would probably put Spotlight on there as well. But I don't know. I think Remember Where You Are is an absolute tune.
Yeah,
and
that's a big one. That's a big song.
And for me, one of my favourites is Soul Control. I think it's just like the beginning bit that comes in and then just does that woo and like goes into it. And you're like, okay, we're here for a good time. I think it's camp as fuck.
That was nice, right?
Ooh La La is like, it's just all just campus tits. Like, it's pure like disco.
I think
I think the real campness to it, which I like, and I really like that she did an interview. I think it might have been with Attitude or something, and she really paid homage to that. She paid, particularly with a lot of the sound, really like highlighting that she's, representing and paying tribute to, black queer culture in America. And I thought that was really, really cool to like, in such a mainstream interview to talk about that as like one of the key things. So my number one by a country mile is Adore You, because I think
I love that song. There's
just something so powerful about that song that creates an atmosphere. And for me, every time I hear it, I have this just image of being in a really dark, smoky, sort of sweaty basement like club somewhere, or being like it takes me back to going to Warehouse Project at university, and just it honestly like hits me. Like I get so much nostalgia from that song. It's so good. And I think then What's Your Pleasure and Save a Kiss then are probably my two others. I think Save a Kiss has just got that. It's just as it comes in, just the beat.
It's a build, isn't it?
So
it's a real gradual build.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Lau?
My top is definitely Save a Kiss. I just absolutely love it. Shout out to the producers, Midland, who is amazing DJ.
I love Midland. We stand again. He's an awesome like queer DJ. He's amazing.
I think it's really nice to see people like him, on big albums and getting credited, and I think it's really important that that's happening. And I'm just obsessed with that song. I just love it, and the album track's slightly longer than the single. I love it because you get slightly bit more of that build, just a bit longer, and it just grows. I'm like, fuck, it's so good. I really like The Kill, which is like, I just love the end. I feel like it's really Jessie Ware to like, she holds back, I think, sometimes on some of her songs, and then she kind of builds a bit like Save a Kiss, really, but she kind of builds this momentum. It's quite repetitive, and it just gets really
There's a lot of layers
intense.
To it.
A lot of layers, and I just love that about her.
I might be saying something a bit controversial, but my only slight criticism of this album is I do feel like it kind of fizzles out a little bit at the end. I just feel like the songs could maybe be in slightly different order. Like I feel like once I've sort of got into step into my life, I feel like there's not enough difference between the last 4 tracks.
And I
kind of fade out. I just feel like you could have broken up Save a Kiss, Adore You. I just feel like all of those, even though I know you want that big impact at the start of the album.
I guess you've got Mirage, which picks up. And that's like 2 tracks away from the end.
Yeah.
I think my third favourite is Adore You. Sorry to interrupt, Tom. I Adore You.
Yeah. It's so good.
It's great.
Obviously, the main producer of this album is James Ford, who's worked with Arctic Monkeys, Florence and the Machine. Now, I'm a big Arctic Monkeys fan, and I can hear a similarities somewhat.
Yeah.
Like, not like, oh my God, they're like identical and they sound the same, but I can really hear his influence in this album. And when I listen to AM, I can really hear like some real distinct production that I'm like, that you can hear that in What's Your Pleasure. How do you think, she's never worked with him before, how do you feel about their kind of relationship, and how do you feel it differs from her previous work?
I think it's what I like is that it's what I think is that Art to Monkeys bit is there's quite an industrial rawness to the album, and again I think she was trying to get that balance between sort of like Berghain and Studio 54, and you can really feel that sort of that raw sort of like Berlin, you know, in some of those songs. I mean, Adore You is like the perfect example of that. But you can tell as well that she's worked with lots of different. So obviously James Ford is the key person, but actually I think that's what I like about the album is that because she's not just worked with, you know, one or two producers who kind of are doing similar things. I really like that you can really tell, and I think she said as well that she felt much more comfortable going and speaking to different producers, and her and James really kind of are more just doing that thing of messaging people, being like, oh hey, do you want to help out on this, or do you want to work on this? Like I think that really comes across in the album. So I think who she's worked with has really helped.
I guess because she's had quite a long career now, she's made those connections and can hit those people up and have like she's got like a good pool of kind of diverse, like interesting sounds and talent.
I was going to ask you, Lau, like I think obviously with this being like such a different album for Jessie, like you can tell that you know she's been doing choreography. It's been very dancey. Do you feel like there must have been almost a bit of a frustration with, you know, having lockdown and actually bringing it out now, because you can imagine all the things that she wanted to do with this album that maybe she's been able to. And this is a touring album completely, right?
She's spoken about it, I think, on the podcast very like briefly, but she's kind of been like, she's very candid about it, which is really nice to hear. But she's very like, I've got a fucking album out and I can't perform it. And I think she's a bit frustrated, but I also think that I feel like it's helped in a way. I don't know if it's because there's more of a focus on people are listening, I think, to more music because they're at home and they've been at home and they're kind of open to like listening to podcasts or like trying to do other things. So I think it's probably done quite a good job. And I think because everyone is going to have to like reset until next year, I would love to have seen her. I mean, we didn't get tickets, but like at Glastonbury, like it would have been to, like watch on TV, like see her highlights, and like you could so see it this year. Like it just would have been so nice to see her.
Yeah, I think her visuals have been amazing though. I think what she's done visually so far, like, I'm obsessed with the What's Your Pleasure video.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's so good. And it's when she's doing the bit at the end when she's smudging her lipstick, and it's like just a bit. It gets a bit like dirty and intense.
That's the thing.
You're like,
because say if I was in like normal life, not that I wouldn't have watched it, but I've watched it a few times, and I've watched behind the scenes because I'm at home. Haven't really got like tons to do. I'm way more invested in things like that. I'm like, oh my god, what video is she gonna do? I'm excited she can do a video because no one's been able to do videos yet. They've just done those annoying like lyric videos or the Dua Lipa animated Lucy video.
But she's done well with the dance, the movement videos she's been doing.
And her performances have been really good as well.
She has. I've been keeping up with her bathtub one. I watched that. I've been keeping up with her like lives, and she's done it so well. And her backing
she works really hard, and it's really evident that she has a lot of input. I think
she's just doing what she's wanted to do, and I'm just so happy to see it. I love the album cover. Like she's just like
the photos are lush.
Just the filters they've put on it, like just the vibe. Like for me, it really tells you exactly what you're going to get from the album. Do you know what I mean? Like you're kind of going to get something a bit raw, a bit different.
She said those are inspired by the like Andy Warhol Polaroid like photo shoots that he used to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we had to rate this then overall, what would we?
I think visually everything about it, taking everything into account when she's released it, I just love her. I think she's a really nice person. I think that seeps through into everything she does. She's a good person. And I think that makes me like her more. And I think she's just cool and she just knows what she's doing, and I absolutely love it. I can listen to it all day. And also with Jessie, I feel she has that ability as well when you listen to a song and you just kind of want to keep listening to it, and you
hear extra layers, you hear extra bits to it.
It's so good.
I keep hearing extra harmonies and things. I'm like, wait, when?
I love her
some
voice
of the orchestral bits on it.
Amazing.
Some of the little there's little rhythms or little things that you get, whether it's strings or I can't remember which one it is on. Whether I think it might be on What's Your Pleasure, and there's just like a really cool like brass. And I think like every time I've listened to it, I've kind of got more and more like hearing more and more things from it. I think I couldn't quite give it a 10. I think I'd have to give it a 9. Like, I'm super proud of her, but I do think it could have been 2 songs less.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have just felt a little bit more sort of condensed.
Punchy.
I feel like I needed 2 songs less, and then maybe she could have put 2 as like a bonus track, as like an extended album version. But yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so pleased for her.
What about you, Ryan?
I'd say probably the same. I'd say between like 8.5 and a 9 out of 10. I think it's been one of the best albums I think this year, and it's been, obviously we said earlier, about a massive year for pop and just for music in general. Also, we haven't really spoken about, just this is like added into the pop culture moments, but she mentioned she's a big fan of Rasheen Murphy, and I just wanted to say that Murphy's Law is such a banger and one of my like favourite songs of the year.
Good. So good.
Insane.
Oh, I have to listen to that. I haven't actually listened to it yet.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I think I've sent it to you before.
So good.
Don't do a Thom, Lau. Don't like ignore, and then come back in like a month's time and be like, oh, have you heard this song?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're getting captured.
Thom, you do it. Come on.
This is what you do, Thom. Apparently, you haven't done it to
like,
me.
Lau, have you heard of Slater? I'm like, don't you dare! I sent you the song.
It's the time difference. It's the
jet lag. It's the jet lag.
There's a delay. Yeah, it's the jet lag and the delay.
So I think we've kind of wrapped that. I guess.
Did you give it a number, Lau?
I gave it a 10.
Yeah, she's
Did you?
a full 10.
Oh, sorry, I zoned out.
I'm not on Strictly, and they're like
10.
Hang on, I feel like this is maybe a Lowri problem, not a me problem, because you're also not listening to Lau and then finding out later. So maybe we're just like not paying attention to Lowri.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Maybe.
Right, should we take a break and then we'll jump into?
Yeah, I think we should.
Let's do.
And then we'll jump into our sort of our first artist that we that we fell in love with.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yay. Was kind of the first artist who you've loved and you've followed and you've kind of grown up with, and I guess kind of been on a bit of a journey. For me, it was Rihanna. She has just been someone who has inspired me and still inspires me now, and I think she's just amazing. I think she's just broken the mold and changed it for so many people. And she's kind of grown up in the public eye. Like, she was so young when she first started, and she's just managed herself through really, like, obviously horrible public, things where it's been the press and the media. But she's always just, like, kept it locked and, like, kept it tight and kept moving. Her sound, just always had great albums, but she's not been frightened to, like, break the mold. And she doesn't really care. She's just like, this is who I am. Like,
no,
and I think I always just really looked up to that, because I kind of found a lot of pop stars a bit polished and a bit like they're just perfect, and I never really identified like that. I was always a bit of a rebel, causing trouble when I was a bit younger, and I just was obsessed with her because she was like this really cool, like, tattoos, like a bit of a bad girl, but she was like successful still, and she was kind of like, for me, that first person who embodied that. And I was like, okay, I can kind of be like the way I am and still be like successful, and she's inherently a really good person. I think she's getting older, you're seeing that more and more with what she does, like with her own charity foundation and just being really as charitable as a person, but then being an entrepreneur with businesses. Like, she's super smart, and I think she was just like, with that Loud album, Rated R. Like, Rated R was like an amazing album, and she was like so young, and it was really dark and like grungy, and Rude Boy. Like, and I like sometimes find myself watching some of her old videos. I'm like, you can tell that it was her making those decisions. Like, it's still her now, and that shows you that
it's very different.
Yeah. And I think for me, she's just that person who I'm still so excited about now. Yes, we are waiting for R9. Sis, where is it?
We're waiting for a long time.
But I love how she just claps people back. She's like, I've lost it.
Yeah.
So good. She knows exactly what she's doing. Yeah. It's really interesting hearing it from like a female perspective, like hearing kind of how, because I think you're right. For me, I don't think we would have had I don't think we'd have had Beyonce. I mean, as like a massive Beyonce fan, I don't think we'd have had the self-titled Beyonce album Lemonade or anything without Rihanna, because I do think she came out and just didn't give a shit, and I really don't think that there's anyone who's kind of given us so much who had given so much that before. It's really interesting hearing how that's impacted you. Like, was it really noticeable? Because obviously it was kind of around that age of sort of 15 to 18. Like, was it noticeable compared to like other artists that you liked at the time?
Absolutely. She just kind of I felt like she was always just one step ahead with everything she did. Like, even with, aside from music, she was kind of the first one to kind of have clothing lines, and she was, for Riv Ryland, she had like a massive thing with Riv Ryland and had all, and it was just very aesthetically hers. Did. And she was just always just a step ahead with everything she did. And I think it was really noticeable, and she was paving the way for all these other girls to kind of come through and not be this like perfect product. She was like, you don't have to be. You can be like me, who like rolls a joint, so speed all the time, does music that she wants to do. She's respected, and you can tell that. Like, she was very much respected, even though she was like so young. And
that's like for you, like as a woman, to see that up there. I imagine as well. Like, as obviously, like I can't speak from that kind of from your perspective, but or from like like a person of color as well. Like, it must have been it must be amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
See yourself represented.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, she's just so strong when you are growing up, and you are looking for that as a woman, because more now I realise how messed up it is to be in one, but at that time I kind of didn't really realise, like, gosh, she really was doing something phenomenal to be putting herself out there like that. And I just feel like she's really made it. It makes me feel a bit emotional in a way, because I think I didn't realise how much actually affected me and made me kind of be a bit braver, and just be like, fuck it, I can do this even though I'm a girl.
Oh wow, that's so nice. It is really interesting, and I think it just demonstrates why representation is so important. And I think it goes across like all channels, and because the more you see different representations of people who are similar to you, in all different forms and all different walks of life, and people just being able to just be, I think it's just about seeing people who are authentically themselves, and the more people who can represent that, the better it can be, and kind of own their differences. And I think you kind of reflect on certain artists or bands, and they definitely kind of mean more now, sort of retrospectively, or you kind of have a sort of respect, a different kind of respect for what they did for you at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What was yours, guys?
Mine was Gaga for me.
Of course.
Is she has like always been that person that I followed kind of from beginning of her career. I think what drew to me originally was because obviously like my background and stuff is like quite theatre. Like, I loved like performing, and obviously then went to drama school, and I think for me she is the perfect blend of a pop star and a recording artist, songwriter, but also she is theatre as well. Her whole early days in her career, and her interviews, in her performances, like, it's all a big kind of spectacle. Like, she will never kind of do anything half-assed. Like, she puts her all into it and works so hard. So for me, like, she's someone who I've always followed. And I think I even remember seeing a poster for her at the arena in Nottingham when she was doing, I think it was the Fame ball. Like, someone, I think I said to me like, oh, like, that'd be really good to go and see that. And I think then someone like said, what? And like, no, it wouldn't. Like, and was like really like defensive of it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, obviously, yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah, that'd be rubbish. Like, it's just like, I really wanted to go.
God, that makes me sad.
I know, it's so tragic. But yeah, and I remember I remember being at sleepover, and I think Telephone just came out, and I think I mentioned it, and like some of my friends hadn't seen it, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And then we like snuck into her living room where the computer was, like a proper like computer, and we sat and watched the video, and then I like made them watch like all the other ones that she'd done at the time, and we went through just like looking at like watching all these different videos, and it was like then my like true like gay agenda was spreading, my like Gaga agenda, and I was like, watch this one, and watch this, insane. And this live performance, and this, and they were like converted fans, and I was like, yes, I've done it.
Like the hype around it, I remember. There's actually a memory of me, Lowri, and my housemate Atlanta. Like, I remember us all. Do you remember watching the Telephone video together when it came out in the sixth film? Because Lowri was a massive Gaga fan. Atlanta's like a huge Beyonce fan.
Yeah.
And like that video was incredible. Is there any like early memories?
I watched it in IT or something, and I got in trouble.
Yeah.
She was like, what are you doing? I was like, it's just dropped the premiere. It's just dropped, I need to watch it.
Oh my god.
Pop first, school second.
Yeah, amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. And then she did, obviously,
Amen.
that performance that she did at the VMAs of Paparazzi and Poker Face, where she's, like,
Oh my god, yeah, that was amazing.
covered in blood. That, like, cemented her, because you can see everyone's reaction in the room. There's, like, cuts to, like...
I was like...
Yeah, it cuts to, like, P. Diddy and stuff, and they're all just, like...
You're like...
And she was 23, I think, when she did that. Or, like, 22,
crazy when you think about
23.
the ages.
Really, really young. And she's up there, like, fucking holding onto this thing, swinging, dripping with blood, like... And everyone is just like, what the fuck? But she completely changed it. And I know, and I completely... But the thing is, she's so aware of that she's not the first to do that. You know, like, Bowie always did, like, different eras and would always change things up. And that's obviously what she's done. And she takes influence from that and is very open about that.
Yeah.
And also Madonna, like, she pays homage to that. And she spoke out and said that you know, that she's influenced her. Because it's, like, impossible for that not to kind of bleed into your current
she's
work.
very intelligent in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, she's almost too... She can be a bit too intense at times,
Yeah.
but she's so...
Yeah.
Wow. But it's kind of why we love her.
Yeah, and just like when she... That stage where she was dressed as bloody Joe... Was it Joe Calder? Was it Joe
bloody hell, I forgot.
And she, like... She gave Britney Spears her, like, Vanguard Award dressed as...
Yeah.
Oh god, I forgot.
And Britney's like...
It's interesting, actually, because
you.
Rina Sawayama's just done a music video.
Yeah, I
for
saw
Bad
that.
Friend,
Yeah.
And her whole inspiration for doing that video was that Gaga era. So it's really interesting
How
seeing
she... In our lifetime, how that's
she's now
influenced the next... Yeah.
the new generation of, like, upcoming.
I forgot about that.
And now she's like...
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, and then now she's like nominated for an Oscar. Like, it's insane. Like, I really do... It's been amazing to kind of support her and be a fan from, like, in the early days. And
Her speeches, though, when she accepts those awards, I always wanted to be an actor.
oh, she puts her, like, her Academy Award
I'm like,
voice
shut
on.
up.
I have always
I love
wanted...
you,
Oh
but-
my god!
I wanted to be an actor.
But she's a theatre kid. You've got to remember that.
Yeah,
she's
she went
like,
to fucking Juilliard or
she's
Tisch or wherever.
She's a hardcore thespian.
Yeah.
So, like, getting that kind of stuff. But it was a lot. Those interviews that she was doing for... It's like she just
I love it, though.
But I love it.
I do love her
it
for it.
so much. Yeah, it was literally like she'd solved world
You do
hunger
that,
with
honey.
this film.
But she wasn't afraid to just, like, shake things up. I remember when she did Poker Face on Jonathan Ross, the Jonathan Ross show, like, when it first came out.
Oh, I remember this.
And she completely... She, like, screamed it. Like, she didn't do... It was so... I remember watching it
loads
and
of
I
people
was like...
thought she was rubbish.
It was-
People thought she was rubbish and she couldn't sing.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but I was just like... I don't know what she's saying, but girl, I'm living. Like, I was like, what the fuck? She did Poker Face, and I can remember her just, like, screaming. But it was fucking iconic, and, like, it stood out, and when she
I'm
did
just so gutted and missing... Oh, yeah,
her vocals, she did a tribute to Alexander McQueen. I think it was at the Brit Awards.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was so weird. She did Dance in the Dark, kind of, but just, like, played this, like, weird instrument and then played this, like, touchpad thing that was like dance in the dark, like and, like, did this weird.
I remember that.
And then it just ended, and everyone was like, okay. Bizarre, but I love that. I love her. The Jeff Koons exhibition where she's literally dressed like the Michelin Man. Oh my god, it's so funny. She comes
The
in
meat
doing
dress, the
and
meat
she's
dress.
like the meat dress. I would never forget when she the Jeff Koons where she's completely in white and she's like in that, like, plastic. She looks like the Michelin Man and she's like walking through, like, doing this weird performance, and she's got, like, a Koons, like, sculpture in her hand and just, like, throws it, and she just delivers. And I'm glad that she's back to do her kind of full pop
We're
dance
here
floor
for it.
banger era. Joanne was an era it had its moments that I loved. Diamond Heart.
I love it. I really am not. I'm not.
I think
a hater on Joanne.
And do you know what? That was an era where a lot of people were doing country stuff, and like Kylie did a country album. She did a country album.
Yeah, you take influence of what's around you, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, and look, fucking now, Old Town Road. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's the kind of Western stuff is, has its place.
Gaga walked so Little Nas could run.
Amen.
And what about yours, Tommy?
So my first artist who I think I properly, like, fell in love with, both musically And obviously, as I've matured later in life, realised that I did like love him. Was Robbie Williams.
I didn't expect you to say that.
I didn't.
Did you not?
No.
Out of all,
literally not. Never.
Wow.
So I was obsessed as a young boy. I just think he was I just idolised him. I just think he was
hot.
So cool.
So hot.
I loved his music.
I never got the hot thing with Robbie.
It's mad how you don't really know that you're gay, I guess, or you don't really know what it is, or because no one tells you. Like, so looking back, I had the Sing When You're Winning album, which I would love. I had the CD I would listen to on repeat. But you know, you were talking earlier about how you have the covers, which have all the tracks on.
Yeah.
Well, he had loads of pictures, and there were lots of pictures of him just kind of naked. There's one I really remember, which I used to stare at all the time. Is in the sleeve. There was one where he's like it's like a communal, because the whole thing is it's like a football thing, and it's different. It's about 8 versions of him all in one big like communal bath, like celebrating their cup win. And I was just obsessed with it, and I would like sit and listen to the album and like look at the pictures of him. Obviously, no idea at the time that meant that I wanted to shag him. And he was like, shag him age 9. But I just think he's so cool. I think he's just that incredible performer, and you don't. I think as a pop star, I think people are very quick to kind of criticize sometimes the vocals, or they're like, "Oh, you're a pop star, you can't sing." And it's like when I look at what I want from a pop star, like it's not necessarily you want all the other stuff; it's the production. You know, when he did Rock
sometimes
DJ,
you really don't get it.
Like,
so
yeah. And he was like pulling his own thing. He was like pulling bits of himself off and like stripping.
God, yeah.
And
that really changed the game. Like that video was. I remember
it
wouldn't get shown after a
controversial.
certain time in the day. Yeah. You had to like. It was past like 8 o'clock. They would show it on MTV. Or, past the Watershed.
And he just didn't give a fuck. And like when you look back now and like see more about his kind of like partying side, and oh my god, he's so fit. Like he was just kind of like full Britpop.
Send you a present there, Tom.
I love.
I have not seen that image before.
DJ.
But whoa.
That's it. I've been trying to find the picture. Oh my god, this
hot.
is weird. I used to look at this picture.
Because you're making me feel so nice.
And can we just talk about some of his iconic duets? Nicole Kidman saying something stupid like "I love you."
Kylie
Kids, which she did at Glastonbury, which was unreal. Like that song and the music video to that. I just think he was just, and he won like 14 or 18 Brit Awards, I think it was. Like, he was. I think you just forget like how big he was. Yeah. Like. And it's weird because he was kind of really big in the UK and then not in, he never really hit America and never really, he did all right in like certain places. But like, he was just like, I think obviously growing up, I kind of like looked up to him and like loved him. And I just really like that he, it's that personality thing that came through, and he was really just kind of himself. I mean, he was a bit of a hot mess, which kind of sort of like relate to a bit.
Yeah, I think for me as well, he does have like a camp energy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so camp.
Yeah.
He's so camp.
He's kind of like your dad's fit friend when you're like young.
Oh yeah, I think
I wouldn't say it was express fit, but sure.
Yeah, someone's got daddy issues, Ryan. Christ.
No, not my dad. Not my actual dad.
He has some bops, to be fair.
Yeah, and like I said,
oh my god, no, but Rude Box is awful.
Check your Rude Box.
Rude Box, you're so nasty.
That is awful.
Yeah,
sorry.
Look, I'm not saying. Look, we. Haven't all of our stands been for it had a moment? We've all had
yes they have
a bit that we weren't that keen on, but okay, some of the new stuff hasn't been amazing, but I just think he was just good and did the perfect balance. Those really sad ones. I mean, like Angels. There's like we've got like a group of us from uni who's still like just like that's like the song that we kind of all sing. And I just, he was just great. I think there's something really sexy about men who are just really comfortable with themselves. Like, and I think,
for sure.
Like, I just think that's for me is like what I find like what I really like in a guy. And I think it's quite rare to find sometimes is someone who's just sort of like very comfortable and unapologetic of who they are. And I think that's what he did, and he's just been my absolute idol. I got to see him. I haven't seen him like live just on his own, but when he did the reunion and did the Take That tour, and I went into the crowd like I think I ended up just going on my own or whatever, because everyone else just wanted to go chill at the back, and I ended up being stood next to one of my teachers. It was Mrs. Mansfield, Lau.
Oh, wow, okay.
Right, Mrs. Mansfield. And she was wasted, like absolutely wasted. And Robbie Williams came on and did his bit and came down from like some kind of waterfall and did Let Me Entertain You. And I just have this image of me and my teacher. This was like last year of school. I can't remember what she used to teach. I want to say history as well, but I'm not sure. I know Mr. Mansfield teaches history. And just arms around each other, just absolutely belting it. And she was quite a strict teacher, so seeing her like absolutely trash, like clinging on to me for dear life to hold off while her husband was like behind her, like just hugging me and just screaming, "Let me entertain you." It's just like such a moment that will stay with me. It was so good. Right, welcome back. We'll have a bit of a confession. You probably heard like there might be like a slight difference in audio between the first and third bit and the middle bit.
I don't sound like I've swallowed a frog in the middle bit.
And it was when you were Welsh. It's when you used to be Welsh.
Yeah, you've got a really strong Welsh accent. So we actually pre-recorded that a while ago. We did all our first kind of all in one go, and then we've sort of split them out. It's been quite nice. We're
busy people. It's what the professionals do, darling.
Yeah, booked and blessed.
Booked and blessed.
It was quite nice listening back. I had actually forgotten that I'd chosen Robbie Williams, so I was doing all the editing, and I was like, I completely forgotten what I picked as mine, and then the hilarity ensued. But I did really like that. It was quite a nice, like, honest episode. Yeah. It was quite fun to listen,
reflective,
to listen back to it.
Also, I've googled that picture of Robbie Williams in the changing room with or in the bath with all of himself, and it's pop. Horny as fuck.
Insane. Yeah, exactly.
I haven't actually seen that.
Oh, love, treat yourself.
Send it to me.
We'll put it up. We'll put it up on the. We'll put it up on the Twitter, Instagram. And we'll put it on the socials when we've got a chance. So yeah, this is actually our penultimate episode of our first series. I think there's going to be a long list of things for us to discuss. Everything from Taylor Swift to, obviously, we've had Katy Perry. We've had new Brie Runway. I've just become obsessed with an artist from the States called Flo Milli, which hopefully these guys will listen to this week, because she's so funny and so talented. So yeah, we're going to have a bit of a power sesh through all the music that's gone on, and just have then a bit of a chat around how we feel the first series has gone. We're also going to update the playlists. So we need to do that. So we've got both a playlist on Spotify and on Apple Music, which will get updated as this comes out. I guess, have we got any other AOBs, guys? Anything you want to say or chat about?
No, me and Lau are going to go for a kickabout.
I feel like you guys need some space.
It is. It's lovely weather.
I've got my bike. I've got a bike now.
She's got a bike. You got stabilisers?
Yeah.
I saw you'd bought the elbow pads. I can see them hanging up in your room. Good. Yeah. Well done on that.
Have you got a helmet though, Lau, in all seriousness?
I've got a helmet, love, yeah.
Good to know.
I cannot stress that enough, people. No. Like, there is absolutely no reason for not wearing a helmet.
I wish they'd make a sexy helmet though, because no one can pull off a helmet.
No.
I don't think.
But you don't need to look sexy, it's about being safe.
Yeah, when you're knocked off your bike.
Wear them in London.
I know.
Blows my mind.
Crazy.
But we'll talk about that more on our new cycling podcast.
Yeah. Can I just say, I've seen a helmet that goes on your neck that's like an air cushion, and when you fall off, it pops out and inflates around your skull, As You Hit the Ground.
I've seen that. I have seen that, yeah.
Blown my mind. And also, I'd be terrified to wear it because it wouldn't work. I'll go into it. I'll send you some links, Lau, don't worry.
Thank you.
AOB. And if anyone else would like some links, drop me.
If they would like to sponsor
Slide
us.
into the DMs.
Yeah. Sponsored by Halfords.
Yeah, we'll easily take a thing from Halfords, no problem.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. Right, well, one more to go. Right, well, I'll go back to my jazz band.
Yeah.
In the background.
Get yourself another Earl Grey, Tom.
Yeah, and we'll catch up next week.
All right then.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. If you like what you're hearing, you can support us by following at the BopCast on Instagram and Twitter, like us on Facebook, and email us at thebopcast@hotmail.com. Also, please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Love ya.